Assalamu alaikum. My name is William and I converted to Islam about a year ago. I was born in Dallas, Texas into a Christian family, and I grew up in a neighborhood that was almost completely white, upper class and upper middle class as well. And it was really, really sheltered. My family wasn't exactly as you would call ultra-religious, as what is the stereotype with many people in Texas. We were just your typical moderately religious Christian family. But the only trouble is that I was born with autism. So my social functioning was quite awkward. So I didn't really fit into the society around me. I'm not saying I was a loner or like a complete outcast, but I mean, I had my friends. It's just that I wasn't overly popular. I wasn't overly focused on socializing. I mean, at that time, I was so young, I really cared more about video games than I did religion. I mean, to me, the idea that I'm going to heaven just because I believe in Jesus Christ sounded like a very good idea. I'm like, that's pretty cool. Just play video games my whole life, go to heaven. Got it made. Now, the thing was, though, is that even from a young age, there was facets of Christianity I rejected. I'm like, God is God. He doesn't have to do that. So that was probably my only real criticism at that time. But then again, I really didn't care. I think the only other time I did have some sort of problem within the religion was when they first brought up the subject of the Holy Trinity. That would have been 11 at the time. What they're explaining was that it is 3 parts separate but one. Now to me, that didn't make any sense. I'm like, okay, I thought we had one God, not 3. To me, that was polytheism. To me, that was unimaginable, so I just rejected that notion up front. But then, once I started getting to high school, I started becoming a little bit more concerned with what was really going on in the world. I started getting into politics, and then I started really exploring my religion. Now, I rejected the notion of being a Protestant up front. The problem was there was no specific Christian sect I agreed with.
During high school, I could see him drifting away from his connection with the church that we were going to, and I knew that there was some lack of direction and lack of connection in his faith during those years in high school. He never rejected God, rejected faith, but I could see that there wasn't that strong connection he had when he was younger.
I'd been exposed to other religions at the time through my mom. Since we had gone through a divorce that was quite traumatizing, she had been forced to look for alternative spiritual means. So by the time I just realized, okay, I really need to find my niche to get into, my mom recommended that I take this test online that would recommend which religion you belong to, or you most closely match up to. So I took it, and I was quite surprised to find that Islam was number 2 on the list, about 98% compatibility. Number 1 was Orthodox Judaism. Now, although I did have interest in Judaism at the time, I really didn't see it as that interesting as Islam. To me, Islam was something like, to stereotypically say, foreign to me. I'm like, oh, that looks quite interesting. So I started looking into Islam. So I looked it up on Wikipedia. I started reading about the basic articles of faith, the restrictions, what you had to do and stuff, and I found myself in agreement. I was like, this makes a lot of sense. I agree with this, and this seems very, very plausible. I believe that Jesus, rather than being a son of God or even God, was just a teacher, an important teacher to take from. So the notion of Jesus being a prophet, which basically is a teacher of God, really wasn't that foreign to me. That was something that, like, I already had believed in. At that point, I decided to pick up a Quran. So I picked it up and started reading it. And I read it, I'm like, this is amazing. This is something that explains everything that I've been looking for. I'm in total agreement with this. So I want to become a Muslim now.
One day we took him to the doctor and for his yearly checkup, and before he went off to college, and he had his Quran with him, and she was asking him about that, and she asked him why he was reading that, and he said, because I'm going to convert to Islam. And that was the first time he clearly expressed himself that that was his intention.
So I decided to take Shahada when I'd gotten up here to school. See, I didn't know of a single masjid in Dallas. Plus, it was just more convenient to take it up here. There was a mosque right by the school. So therefore, I could just walk down in my spare time and take Shahada. So I told my parents when I decided to, and they didn't have a problem with it. They were in the medical field, and therefore they had exposure to Islam, they had exposure to other ethnicities and religions as well. So they were quite tolerant people.
I have the opportunity at work to be around many Islamic people that I'm very fond of and that are just outstanding, excellent people. And I was hopeful, of course, that those are the same type of people that he's going to be surrounded with. But with everything that goes on, you don't know. And so I was very concerned about my young, naive son and exactly what kind of experiences this was going to lead him into.
The prospect of me becoming engrossed in religion, they liked that idea just because they thought it helped me to become more loving and more compassionate to people. At the time, I was kind of a misanthrope before, so they were more than eager to see me take up a religion.
It is intriguing to a lot of people. They want to ask him about it, and he enjoys the chance then to talk about it. He's usually very quiet and shy, and this gives him a platform to express himself to other people about him, whereas if he hadn't made this decision, and people probably wouldn't be asking him so many questions about it.
In here at the Islamic Center in Boulder, which is very little, it is the place for everybody to come pray. So new converts, or I would say new people that embrace the religion of Islam, when they come over here, they find several programs. They find a lot of young people, they find a lot of people who are willing to dedicate their time and help them and study with them, answer their questions. So like the young William, the student here at the University of Colorado in Boulder, he studied Islam and he decided that Islam made sense to him.
I first learned the Arabic script from a friend of mine at the masjid. He used to be a teacher, so somehow he was able to teach me it in an hour, whilst I couldn't teach myself over the summer. So I was able to master it by reading du'as in a particular book by Hisun al-Muslim, and by doing those multiple times a day, I was able to get reading speed similar to that of English.
وقد استخدم ويليام أيضا أحدث التكنولوجيا لمساعدته على تعلم اللغة العربية بسرعة أكبر.
Now I was able to master the tashweed through an iPhone app that has both the text and the tashweed. And by listening to it over and over, I can get the rhythm and the pronunciation down. I have to say the main thing that changed about me when I converted to Islam would be that I enjoy helping people a lot more. I care about people much deeper than I did before. Before, I tended to be somewhat of a misanthrope. And I'm not saying I was like a people hater, but I tended not to trust people. I tended to be more introverted. I was more selfish as well. So since I converted to Islam, I've just learned to love people. I've learned to care for them and help them. And I get pleasure out of helping them as well. So for all, I think it was probably the best change that ever happened.
My name is Mahmoud Al-Juhani. And by English, they call me Mahmoud Al-Juhani. I'm from Saudi Arabia, and I'm doing my master's degree here in CU Boulder in telecommunications and engineering management. So it's like a dual degree. When I came here, one of the first things I looked for is the Islamic Center. And I saw a new American guy, and he was William. I was chit-chatting with him, and he told me like he just converted 2 weeks ago, and it was interesting. Then we start me and another guy, we start talking, asking him about why did you convert, or how did you convert, and then he told us his story, and it was very interesting to see a young American guy converting to a new religion, like from my point of view, with a lot of restrictions. So it was very challenging and interesting.
أحد النشاطات التي اشترك فيها ويليام ومحمود كانت تنظيم النشاطات الرياضية لأطفال الأسر التي تتردد على المسجد. أما اليوم فهم يلعبون كرة السلة في أحد المراكز المجتمعية الترفيهية والتي تقع في بلدة صغيرة بالقرب من
We
بولدر.
usually bring the very young brothers all the way up to high school out here to play sports so they can be active, so they can interact more. Then we go back to Boulder to the masjid and we pray and then we eat dinner, then we listen to a lecture.
على الرغم من أن كرة السلة ليست رياضة ويليام المفضلة، إلا أنه سعيد لقدرته يفضل ممارسة التايكواندو لأنها الرياضة التي مارسها منذ الطفولة.
I've been doing Taekwondo since I was about 5. So the farthest I got was a third-degree black belt. I did it quite a bit when I was back home in Dallas. However, up here the team is very, very competitive, and I really don't like competitive sports. So while I'm up here, I don't do it. However, as soon as I go back home, I'll resume.
يمتلك ويليام خططا كبيرة لمستقبله بعد الحصول على الدرجة العلمية.
I've been studying at CU Boulder for about a year now, and I'm a Russian major. Now you may be wondering what exactly I can do with Russian and Islam. That doesn't seem to make sense at first, but 12% of the Russian population is Muslim. A lot of them are rather poor, especially in the suburbs of Moscow and St. Petersburg, as well as in the North Caucasus where there has been some wars. So I'd like to teach Islam over there, and do it because like someone that teaches Islam is kind of hard to come by nowadays because of the revolutions that occurred across the world in the early 20th century. A lot of the scholars and ulama have been killed off. Living as a Muslim American is interesting to say the least, because see, I'm not open to the same discrimination or strange looks or just sometimes even outright violence that a lot of my brothers and sisters are subjected to just because they, quote, look Muslim, whatever Muslim looks like. Now, see, so people don't know unless I tell them. So I have to say it's relatively easy for me, but there is a hard aspect. The media tends to have, in my opinion, a bias. And I don't mean like it's open hate speech, but it's more just like misconceptions that they think is fact.
Mainly, by law, I wasn't discriminated at all. However, sometimes you can feel it from the people's eyes that you are different, especially having a beard or looking like a Middle Eastern person. It's a little bit difficult, but I'm cool with it, I'm fine.
Being a Muslim in America is very important to us Muslims living in this country because each one of us is considered to be really an ambassador to his faith or her faith. And since Islam has been looked under the microscope lately, and we Muslims, we need to be very careful on how to live our lives in America as really true Muslims. And we try to be the best we can with our neighbors, with our friends, with our coworkers, and everybody else.
So up here, people are really tolerant of religions because it's highly irreligious campus. And of course it's Boulder. It's known as the People's Republic of Boulder in other parts of Colorado. I will make it quite obvious that yes, I'm a Muslim and I'm proud of it and I'm not going to hide it. Now, however, when I go back to Texas in the summer, I won't be able to do that. It's Texas. I was already scared there before I became a Muslim. So back at the time with my friends in Dallas, we were discussing about what we're doing in college and stuff. And somehow the subject of religion came up one time. And I said, oh no, I'm not Christian, I'm Muslim. Now they thought I was joking, so they just laughed. So then somehow later in the day, it came up and they started talking about religion again. And so one of them asked, okay, so do any of you either still consider yourself a Christian? And I said, no, I'm a Muslim. And they said, oh, you are serious.
When William became a Muslim, I was definitely surprised, and I guess I was kind of scared for him because what I've heard about Islam isn't necessarily a good thing about it, just through the media. But now that I've talked to him about it, I'm really comfortable with him, with his decision. I'm very excited for him. I'm very happy for him that he's happy.
My name is Dante Richard Burgos, and I am William Schute's friend. I've been his friend since around 5th grade, so it's been about 9 to 10 years I've been his friend. Christianity and Islam have a lot of similar things, and I didn't really realize that until he converted and told me that. And so, that actually helped a lot. And since then, I feel like our relationship's gotten better because of it.
Since he became a Muslim, he's actually become extremely passionate, he's just grown up a lot, and I've noticed that.
Now, see, it didn't change their opinion of me in any way at all. See, they were open-minded people. And see, I was still the same person, essentially. It's just that I had a different religious identity. Now, ironically, even after the person that asked that question rediscovered his faith in Christianity and became a really, really hardcore Christian, we still get along perfectly fine. So overall, I have never faced really any discrimination from anyone from becoming a Muslim. But then again, I've only been Muslim for roughly a year in a highly liberal environment. So I'll just have to see how that plays out.
Of course it's okay for a non-Muslim to have a friend as a Muslim. This is America. We can all live together. I mean, there are some people in the world that don't want to live together in peace, but we can live together in peace. We can be friends. It's the right thing to do.
Since becoming a Muslim, my life has only become harder in 2 regards. Firstly, in the sense that now I'm part of a discriminated and mistrusted minority within the Western world. It's hard to kind of keep a peace of mind when people are constantly spreading lies about you, when people are constantly spreading misinformation about you and your religion and your brothers and sisters. It becomes quite frustrating indeed. In another way, it's hard to prove them wrong in the sense that for every Muslim that's educated in their religion and is going to try to teach the real religion, there's about 100 more that are ignorant of it and are going to prove the opposite. So in that sense, there's a lot of teaching to do.
As an American, non-Muslim, like myself, William, I've known him for so long, and before all this, before he converted and everything, I always kind of thought Islam was kind of a violent religion. There would be these extremists, these people just going around blowing up things, causing terror. And, I blame the media a little bit for that, but...
Firstly, when people translate jihad as holy war, that makes me sick. Holy war is an oxymoron. Jihad primarily means to purify one's soul, to fight against sin and our internal lust. A terrorist cannot be a Muslim, and a Muslim cannot possibly be a terrorist. First off, suicide bombing is against religion in many ways. Firstly, killing innocent people is forbidden. Secondly, killing with fire, or even hurting someone with fire, is forbidden as well. We believe that is only for God to do. Number 3, to take your own life is to damn oneself to hell. It is said that those people that take their own lives will be repeatedly killing themselves within the hellfire, and they will never die. And there is a hadith to back this up, to never use suicide in any form during a war. And I find it quite sad that over here in the Western world, that due to the ignorance of Islam and Muslims, that these stereotypes that all Muslims are terrorists, extremists, wife beaters, oppressors of women, oppressors of other religions, are allowed to flourish. But since people over here don't have as much contact with Muslims, they're not going to be able to verify, or not verify that, but have anything to say against it, so they'll just accept it.
Well, there are a lot of people that think negative things about Islam. And in my experience, there are also the same people that think negative things about all kinds of foreign things that are not just like them. And my message to them would be, don't judge anybody based on these preconceived prejudices. Really understand the religion, understand the true nature of the religion, not just what you hear, and understand the people. And once you get to know them, then you'll realize what Islam is really about, and that these are good people, and they're just like everybody else.
One of my favorite things about being a Muslim is that it doesn't matter where I come from, where I was born, when I was born, what my ethnicity is, but I am part of one ummah. Although in some places of the world that won't be true. They'll still discriminate even though they're Muslim. But the fact is that I was able to step in to this community and be accepted regardless of having been born a Christian or white or an American. So it's one of my other favorite things. Another aspect I like is that I don't have to reject a lot of science, and I can still be 100% Muslim. See, most of my brothers and sisters are probably lower class. Now, I'm not saying that it's a stereotype, but there is a lot of poor Muslims in Africa, all over the world, as well as Europe and in the United States. So I came to understand them better. I came to, like, just view. I wasn't so aggressive towards minorities anymore either, because in Islam, people are not considered superior or inferior on the basis of race, but rather good deeds and righteousness. So, since it was made unpermissible in my religion to have such views, I couldn't. And plus, now most of my friends are minorities. And since in Islam we're supposed to love people, even if they're non-Muslim, even if they are the worst kafir or unbeliever, we're supposed to still love them as a human being and treat them as one. And that really changed me, because now I'm a lot more tolerant of individuals. I'm a lot more loving towards people. See, what I liked about Islam was the Sharia. I liked how it had a strict set of laws laid out. I liked how it had a strict set of practices, as well as just like what you can and can't do. See, in Christianity, it was really vague. And as someone with autism, it's really, really good to have everything laid out, because if things are confusing, that's really not good. It throws us in a hizzy. So I really like that, just because, okay, so I know what to do, I know how to do it, I know when to do it. So it's actually made it a lot easier to follow than Christianity, even though I had to start doing more. That was the main thing that attracted me to Islam. That's why I chose it over all the other religions.
It certainly is a good choice for him, because it really has connected him to God. And he wasn't connected that way the last few years. So it's been very good for that. And I think it will be a good choice for him to give him that connection.
ويليام يوازن بين دراسته الجامعية ودراسة دينه الجديد.
I like learning about Islam. I like learning about Muhammad and Allah, because when I read that stuff, I actually feel moved. See, like when I was a child, you'd be reading Bible or anything, I didn't feel a thing. I just felt, okay, that's cool. But now I'm a Muslim, I feel a lot more moved when I read about like Muhammad and what he had done. So whenever I learn about Muhammad and like all he went through and how he reacted to that, it's very moving. It makes me say, you know what, I want to be like that person.
مع أن ويليام اعتنق الإسلام منذ فترة قصيرة نسبيا، إلا أن أي شخص يقابله يدرك أنه ضليع في أمور دينه الجديد وأنه صادق في معتقداته.
Since I became a Muslim, I've acquired more self-confidence and a lot less fear as well. Now I'm a lot more calm. I know that Allah knows best.
مهما يكن المكان الذي سيهديه إليه طريقه في الحياة، فويليام قد بدأ رحلة جديدة ستغير حياته، وذلك عن طريق اعتناق الإسلام.